On January 1st, 2000, the world enters a period of time where wounds are healed, technology is getting better, the ways of living our lives improves, and mostly, relative peace. A period of time known as the Millennium Renaissance. This new age brought prosperity to the world where it was desperately needed. However, it would all come to an end 10 years later, as the world's problems that it buried would resurface once more with major surprises that will change the course of history. This is the story of how three monsters returned onto the world stage. Kooptopia, a sovereign city-state that takes up 48,823 square miles of land in Northern California. The official population is 7 million. Kooptropolis, with a population of over 2 million, is the great capital of Kooptopia. From an outside perspective, it looks like a futuristic city. And they'd be right. Inside of the city, it has a neon look in the downtown area, having the nickname Neo Central. The skyscrapers range from 100 to 300 meters. Aside from that, the look of each building, skyscraper, and even home has a modern aesthetic with a retro style of an old European kingdom. The citizens, the Koopas and Goombas, are going about their daily lives like a human, chatting, playing, participating in their own competitions, going to jobs, going home to their families, and many more. The former more so, but the latter not so much. The vehicles they drive, in terms of on the Koopa side, are like the humans, except the vehicles are not from the actual manufacturers from the American car companies. Instead, the Kooptopians have their own car companies, Bill's Major Racer, the Gary Hume Production, GHP, and Jay's V1 Classics. The foods and restaurants are just like the humans. That comes with years upon years of sharing goods and supplies with the Americans, before it became closed off to said Americans and having enough supply to feed the entire population. In urban neighborhoods, it follows the model of the old American dream. Not to mention, outside of the city and suburbs, the countryside is just as prosperous. The farmers are at work with crops and feeding animals for food and clothing for the population. One Koopa, who is a farmer, wipes her face and stands with confidence. She looks at the field in front of her. She has been scraping crops all day yesterday into today with a sickle, and is nearly exhausted. She looks over and sees her son on a horse. The son is having a great time riding it. He goes around the house with great speed without stopping. Coming into view of his mother again, he smiles at her. The mother smiles back. The horse runs past her as she gets back to work. The boy looks back in front of him. His smile disappears and pulls on a lasso, stopping the horse in its tracks. The mother looks back and becomes confused. She walks over to her son to see why he has stopped. As she gets closer, she looks at his face. It's full of anxiety and fear. She looks at what her son is looking at. Her reaction to what she sees is the same. In the air, in the distance, a silhouette in the rising sun grows bigger and bigger. But it's not growing, but approaching them. The mother steps back a little. She knows what is coming. She grabs her son, taking him off the horse. She smacks the horse and the animal runs back to the barn. She and the son runs into the house. The sound that's getting louder sounds like a helicopter. A clown copter, an upside-down bowl-shaped vehicle with a propeller at the bottom, with two black eyeballs and an orange smile, lands on the dirt. The dust around the clown copter lifts, then goes away as the copter shuts down. Two massive feet lands on the ground beside it. A creature has gotten out of the vehicle and smells the air. It bellows as it walks towards the front porch. It stops and turns its head slightly. On the pillar of the front porch is a pole, a mini flagpole. The design of the Kootopian flag itself is black with the red silhouetted face of the ruler of Kooptopia. Beside it is the hammer and sickle in dark yellow, a familiar symbol that a country has had for much of the 20th century, and just like it, it represents Kootopia's ideology. The beast continues walking on the front porch. The door is hanging open. The beast opens it all the way. Inside of the house is a traditional house with furniture and interior decorating. The mother and son returns at the other end of the hallway, stepping around the corner. With them is another Koopa, the father. The family looks at the beast standing at the door. The beast that is standing in front of them is no ordinary monster, but he is the current ruler, the king of Kooptopia, King Robert Bowser. A 10-foot burly green-shelled turtle with spikes in 3 rows on said shell and 2 on the tail, bushy eyebrows and mane hair both red-orange in color. Moderate-sized bow-like horns with brown-orange spike rings around them and the spikes on the shell. Spike collars on the wrists, arms, and around the neck. 4 fingers with sharp claws and massive 3-toed feet. Bright orange eyes, green face, and beige-yellow reptilian skin. The now 25-year-old king looks at his Koopas. The looks on their faces is the look of fear and uncertainty. Why has their king visited this house of all places? What reason does he have to be here? The mother and son are thinking. The father, however, knows why. He looks at his wife and son. He slightly nods his head. The mother holds the boy's shoulders, and the two walks away into the other room. King Bowser's eyes doesn't follow them. He is focused on the father. The mother and son sits in the living room and avoid making eye contact. Bowser takes a step forward. Even his first step, the Koopas tremble and everything around them shakes. A fear of instant death is a factor that hangs over their heads, especially the father. Maybe they'll get out of this alive. Maybe not. Bowser finally stops in front of him. The height difference is obvious. One is 10 feet and the others are 2 to 5 feet. The father looks up at his king while the king looks down at him. Not a word is said yet. Neither wants to speak first, but one has to give. Staring at him, the father can see the rage within Bowser's eyes, knowing that he has something that he has yet to know about. Finally, he musters the courage to speak. Your Majesty, I was not told of your arrival. This is a welcome surprise. Bowser lightly bellows. I knew it. Kamek had one job. Then why didn't you kneel when you saw me? Oh, of course. How rude of me. The Koopa slowly kneels down to one knee and bows his head. He stands back up and looks at him. Now then, I am here because Kamek informed me about one thing that you know about, and I want to hear you say it. What would that be? Tell me, is your name Hal? The father is shocked. Yes, sir, it is. I was told that a Koopa named Kamek had exited the kingdom. Please forgive me. I didn't want to get all of my family involved. I just got sick of being here. I wanted to venture out and explore California. I mean, you've done it before, haven't you? That was during the Civil War. An excuse like that is not tolerated. And when a Koopa goes beyond the walls and or border, will be executed. The feeling in Hal's heart drops. Hearing those words from the king himself frightens the son and wife. They want to intervene, but if they do, consequences will be dire to them. However, that's not going to be the case this time. Huh? I need someone in my army like you. Someone who can easily bypass the Anti-Megalosaurus force into the human world. And you and a Goomba are looking to be the ones. Well, I almost got caught a few times. What? I mean, I'm not being punished? Indeed. That is, if you reject my offer, then everything in this house will be burned to the ground. Hal salutes to Bowser and speaks again without hesitation. In that case, our lives and services will be in your hands, Lord Bowser. Wise choice. You start today by moving into the castle in Kooptopolis. Bowser turns around and walks away from the green-shelled turtle. Hal looks at him as the king exits the house. He and his family follow him and stops on the porch. Wait, you mean right now? What about our belongings? Bowser stops. He turns his head and looks back at Hal and his family. His eyes says it all. Oh, sweet con! He grabs his wife and child and runs off of the porch. Bowser turns around, inhales and like a dragon lets out a massive stream of fire. The fire breath hits the house and burns through the walls in a matter of 3 seconds. The fire tears through the home out the other side. He moves his head, dragging the flames up and down the house. Then Bowser closes his mouth, stopping the flames. Hallway by hallway, room by room, the House of House family burns. And the family itself can only sit and watch as their life, their memories burn away into nothing. Bowser walks over to them and looks down at them. Yes, I do mean right now. Your new home is already selected. And don't worry about the crops. You'll still be farming on weekends. Sitting in the middle of the clear lake, which itself is surrounded by the city of Kootropolis, is the centerpiece of the sovereign city-state. Like the UK or some countries in Europe, what is a kingdom without a castle? The Bowser Castle is like an old 15th century castle, but with some additions, most notably a massive dome at the center top resembling Bowser's shell. And of course, the Kooptopia national flag are placed as large banners or as large flags. To the people outside of the castle, there is only one way to get in, and that's if the bridge was lowered and the gate was open. But for King Bowser, there is only one way to get in or out. The Clown Copter lands on an open field with multiple landing zones and shuts down. The king jumps out and lands on the concrete. He looks back into the copter. He digs his hand in and pulls out a green shell. Gasping for air, Hal pops out of his shell. I don't know if I should be honored or embarrassed that I rode with you in a clown car. It better be the former. Bowser lets go of Hal and walks forward with the Koopa following him. Coming into the Bowser Castle, Hal is expecting medieval-like walls, rooms, hallways, and many more. Well, he's half right. It does have a style of the modern aesthetic of a royal castle, such as furniture, rugs, fancy rooms, elaborate decorations, paintings, and cathedral-like windows. Hal pays attention to one of the paintings, a painting of the first King Henry. Man, I've heard so much about Henry Bowser. Is he still alive? He was killed in battle 18 years ago. By who? Andrew? Bowser immediately stops. So did Hal. I'd advise you to not say that name in this kingdom. That disgusting wretch will never be named ever. Let that be your first warning. Oh, sorry. Bowser turns his head forward. For the record, my grandfather was murdered by the three-headed demon. You know what? Let's move on. Both continue from this little exchange. A pair of double doors opens. What it reveals is a massive throne room. Red and black, decorated with fancy vases and photos of Bowser himself. On the floor is a long rug in the center with royal guards holding spears standing at the edges that leads to the massive throne. Standing behind it are statues of Henry and Robert. Welcome to the castle. An unknown voice catches Hal's attention. To his right is another Koopa, wearing a pair of spectacles, dressed in all blue robes, a blue wizard hat. Both the brim of the hat and edges of the sleeves are white. In his right hand is a scepter, golden with a red jewel at the end. The Koopa kneels in front of Hal and Bowser before standing back up. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Kamek, the... Wait, let me guess. A Magic Koopa? Well, the resident Magic Koopa to His Majesty, and a sort of father figure. Huh? I told you not to say that, especially in front of my guards and this rookie. Also, why did you tell this family that I was coming? Because you sent me to the wrong address, you idiot. You sent me to a bakery. I thought you wanted some muffins. And Kamek holds out a plate of muffins. Just give him his first mission briefing, please. Bowser grabs the plate and dumps all of the muffins in his mouth and chows down. Blueberry. Not bad. He tosses the plate against the wall and walks towards his throne at the end of the room. And as usual, you don't clean up after yourself. Anyway, how was it? You already know why you have been summoned into the army. Yeah, but why am I going outside of Kooptopia? First things first, this is the Goomba that you'll be with. Hal looks beside him to see a fungus-based, brown sheet-tank mushroom-looking, two-legged, no-armed, bushy black, scowl-like eyebrow, upright-fanged Goomba. This Goomba is named Jeffrey. Sup? Now, you two will be searching for someone. Dovahkiin. Dovahkiin? Huh. I haven't heard that name in years. Wait, isn't he dead? Well, yes, everyone does, but Lord Bowser thinks differently. Why does he think that? He senses Dovahkiin somewhere in California. You two will be starting in San Francisco. Wait, how are we going to get past the humans? Surely they'll know we got out. No worries. Kamek grabs the middle part of the scepter. The jewel glows bright. He hoists the scepter in the air. Hal and Jeff, not knowing what's happening, understandably becomes frightened. And hey, hang on, I don't like where this is going. Kamek aims his scepter at the two. An energy ball shoots and hits them. Both scream in horror, but the energy disappears around them. Oh, go! Hey, wait, we're alive. What was that for? I casted a spell that allows you to not be detected by the Intermegalosaurus force. But be forewarned, this will only last for 4 days. That is how long you'll have to find Dovahkiin. Now, get going. Both nod their heads and walk out of the room. Kamek looks at Bowser sitting on his throne. What? You never learned manners from Henry, have you?
Silence and get back to work.
Yes, your horribleness.
And no sarcasm.
With the ability to not be detected, Hal and Jeff hop into a sports car from Jay's V1 Classics, drives out of the castle gate onto the road, making their way to the checkpoint south of the Kootopian border. Once they're through, it's off to San Francisco.